Hi everyone, I'm Chris and I'm a librarian with the Solano County Library. Now, even though I've lived in this county for over half my life, like most people in this area, I really only know the basics of the history of this county. So I've decided to change that and learn about the exciting history of this county and share what I discover with you guys. Now for this video, we'll be learning about the history of the lost Japanese community here in Vacaville. In order to find out more about this lost community of Japanese residents, Alyssa DeCaro and the nice folks at the Vacaville Heritage Council have generously agreed to share their knowledge with us. Driving through Vacaville today, it's hard to imagine that this town was once referred to as the Tokyo of America and had a large and thriving community of Japanese residents. Unlike other cities in California like San Francisco, where remnants of their Japan towns or historically Japanese neighborhoods are still visible, fragments of Vacaville's Japanese community are hard to find at best, even though nearly 25% of the city was of Japanese descent at one point. So where was Vacaville's Japantown? Alyssa DeCaro from the Vacaville Historical Society is going to show us.
Hello, we're in historic downtown Vacaville on the corner of Main and Dobbins, and we're about to take a little walk back in time. Many people may not realize that at one time this area was considered the Tokyo of the West. Originally it was settled by Chinese immigrants, but after the Exclusion Act, the Japanese came and settled the area and started farming in the local orchards. We are indebted to all of their contributions because without them, our orchards wouldn't have thrived. At the height, over 2/3 of the orchards were being operated by Japanese citizens or Japanese immigrants who came over and settled. As they prospered, they also started establishing businesses in our area. General stores, restaurants, and businesses that catered to the people who were working in the orchards.
Because of the difficulty of buying land in the valleys of Vacaville, where farming was easier, many Japanese farmers resorted to buying the unwanted land in the hills of Vacaville that were either unwanted or overlooked by white farmers. Although farming in the hillside was more difficult, Japanese farmers made these lands productive and profitable. It also turned out that because the fruit on the hillside ripens faster than valley fruit, Japanese farmers were able to pick their own fruit first and then later work as laborers on other valley farms in order to make even more money. If you take a look at the hills around Vacaville, you can still see the indents in the land where some of the Japanese orchards were planted. The lives of the Japanese didn't just revolve around farming though. They also brought with them a rich and vibrant culture.
At the end of Dobbins Street, on the corner of Dobbins and East Monte Vista, is a site that is a culmination of all of the rich history of the Japanese residents of Vacaville. As they prospered and thrived in our community, they wanted to set down roots. And they wanted a place where they could share, the first generation could share their rich tradition with the second generation and continue to teach their culture. So they established the Vacaville Buddhist Church site here. It was finished in 1908 and it became a community gathering place for them. There would be movies on Saturday nights. They would have their ceremonies for marriages and deaths. And next door they established a Japanese language school. So their children would go to school during the day at Vaca High School or at the elementary school on the hill, and when their school day finished, they would come and have a second set of schooling.
As Japanese residents became more rooted in town, they also became part of the community of Vacaville as a whole. In fact, in 1898, a local Japanese-run organization was even responsible for putting on the Vacaville 4th of July festival. In school, Japanese students thrived. Japanese students at Vaca High won awards and gained recognition for their athletic, artistic, and scholastic abilities. From 1936 to 1941, about 1/3 of graduates from Vaca High were Japanese students. By the start of the 1940s, Japanese residents here considered themselves proud Americans, and their actions demonstrated it. When World War II started, many Japanese men in town signed up for the military, and in November 1941, just weeks before the bombing of Pearl Harbor, the Yellow Solano Japanese American Citizens League sponsored a float and a parade in order to sell Liberty bonds to support the American war effort. But all that changed after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. With the country now at war with Japan, resentment, racism, and hostility rose in Vacaville. Japanese residents were the targets for robberies and burglaries. Later, some residents would be reported as Japanese spies and be targets for federal raids. but no evidence was ever found to support these claims, and no charges were ever filed. Then there was Executive Order 9066. In February of 1942, this order forced people of Japanese ancestry on the West Coast out of their homes and into internment camps. I'm here at the Veterans Memorial Building in Vacaville. This is the location where all Japanese residents from all over Solano County were told to report. When they did get here, they were told that they would be given just 1 week to get their affairs in order before they would be evacuated. Even as they were being forced to leave their homes, Japanese business owners still took the effort to thank their Vacaville neighbors for once being their customers. In just 2 days, from May 2nd to May 3rd of 1942, all of Solano County's Japanese residents, about 1/4 of Vacaville's population, disappeared almost overnight. After the war ended and internment camps were closed, Japanese residents had trouble coming back home to Vacaville. In 1944, the Anti-Japanese League of Vacaville created a petition for the purpose of not cooperating with returning Japanese residents by agreeing to not hire them for work or renting land to them. The petition received over 1,500 signatures. In 1940, the population of Vacaville was less than 1,700. Some Japanese residents stored their valuables and possessions in the Buddhist Church while they were interned. Unfortunately, while they were interned, the church was used for housing for migrant farm workers. Almost all of their possessions were stolen or vandalized by the time they returned to claim them. As the Buddhist Church was being closed because of the evacuation, some families arranged for the urns that held their deceased loved ones to be taken to the Vacaville Elmira Cemetery. However, these urns were stored in a simple wooden shed, and unfortunately rain was able to get inside and completely ruined and washed away the remains of their loved ones by the time they returned. Disheartened, the vast majority of the Japanese community here in Vacaville never returned after the war. Through the decades, the businesses that were once considered part of Japantown exchanged owners several times or even demolished to make room for parking lots, leaving no trace of the once vibrant Japanese neighborhood. Sadly, in 1951, the Buddhist Church burned down. But here in the Vacaville Elmira Cemetery, you can still see an engraved stone that was once at the entrance of that church. Also around me is what was once considered the Japanese section of the cemetery. This is one of the few places in Vacaville where you can still get a glimpse of the vibrant Japanese community that was once here. I would like to thank Alyssa DeCaro and the Vacaville Heritage Council for providing us with most of the information that you've seen today. I would also like to thank the Vacaville Museum for providing us with many of the photos that you've seen in the video. If you want any more information about this topic or any other information about the history of Vacaville, you can contact the Vacaville Heritage Council or you can contact your local Solano library. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this interesting. If you did, please like and subscribe to us on YouTube. We hope to make more videos about the history of Solano County. Until then, we'll see you next time.